Flappers.
Flappers.
Flappers. Flappers Comedy Club.
Flappers.
Flappers Show.
Flappers.
Flappers.
Flappers. Flappers Comedy Club.
I absolutely love Flappers. So much that I tried to hang the same colored curtain behind me at my house.
Flappers.
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 Flappers. Flappers.
The Flappers Comedy Club.
Flappers. They're doing online comedy courses and online shows.
Flappers.
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 It's one of the greatest places on the planet.
Welcome to Flappers Comedy Club and Restaurant, where we're still celebrating the repeal of prohibition.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the Flappers Comedy Club virtual comedy show. We kindly ask you to abstain from recording of any kind. It's actually illegal to record the show. Just sit back and relax, turn off all cell phones and pagers, and silence all roommates, in-laws, family members, and pets. Once the show starts, please refrain from talking and making any loud noises. But please feel free to unmute your microphone and start your video so the comedians can hear and see you laughing. Are you ready for some show? I can't hear you. Are you ready for some show? That's more like it. And now let me introduce your host and MC for tonight's show,
Ray Lau.
How's it going, everybody? Gosh, welcome to the show. Gosh, this is crazy, man. I'm standing up. We're real people. I'm Asian. Things are going well. Welcome to the show. We're here for Ryan Kelly. My name's Ray Lau. I'm just be hosting the show tonight. Man, we're out here, aren't we? We're out here. Welcome to the folks listening at home. There are a lot of you. There's a few of us out here. We're socially distanced. We've got our masks on. I don't have my mask on because I'm careless. But this is good. Welcome to the show. Boy, I think just right off the bat, I think something a little bit surprising about me. I gotta say, I actually don't listen to K-pop. I don't. People think just because I got like this hair or this skin, I really like K-pop. You're wrong about that, but you are right in that I do have an emotionally distant father. That's true, unfortunately. Me and my dad, we're just not close, you know. We're just not close. It's really hard to get, like, a good conversation going with my dad. You know, it's tough. You know, I've had deeper, more meaningful conversations with the guy who works at Staples. Like, this is just real right now, you know what I mean? Like, earlier in the quarantine, I was, like, printing stuff out. I was like, yeah, these are for my unemployment papers. And he's like, oh, man, it's crazy. It's a crazy time. I'm like, yeah. Will you be my dad? Would you? He's like, I'm 19. I'm like, I love you. Okay. It's tough, you know. I wish my parents never immigrated here, because then I would have grown up in Hong Kong, and at least then, like, everyone would have an emotionally distant father. You know? Everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even notice there's a problem. You know, I'm like, hey, man, how's your dad? I don't know. Me neither. Okay. It's fine then, you know. No, my dad, we grew up here in America, and that's a problem because in America you have to love your son, so it's not really good for us. It's kind of tough. I remember, you know, growing up in America, it's different because I always have to notice the difference between my dad and everyone else's dad, you know. Like for example, I think in America, dads are supposed to give you, like, the talk, you know. Not mine. I'm just waiting for my dad to just talk. Any talk, really. Any talk. It's tough, you know. It's tough because I think there's a language barrier a little bit. You know, I talk to my dad, like, in English, and he talks to me like he's disappointed in everything that I do. So he doesn't know I'm doing this. Hi. No, you're not watching. All right. Oh, Jesus. Oh, jeez. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I think he was a good dad, especially if you take out the whole not really loving your son thing. It was fine, you know. It was cool. You know, it's not like he abused me, right? Not even close. He didn't even hug me. So, not, you know. And hey, to be honest with you, a little bit of abuse, just a little bit of abuse would have been nice, you know. Just some friendly touch, you know, just to show he cares. You know what I mean? I'm being real right now, like, just a little bit, just not a lot, obviously, but just a little bit, like, you know, if he was like, oh, Ray, you're a failure, bah, and I'd be like, oh, no, Dad, Don't go. Hold that there, Dad. What's going on? God, you're so warm. You're so warm, Dad. God, I love you. God damn it. All right. No, it's okay. He was an overall good dad. He taught me values. My dad cared about saving money a lot. He's big on saving money. You know, I remember I'd ask him, you know, hey, Dad, can we get some ice cream? No, we have ice cream at home. You know, Dad, can we get a dog? No, we had dog last week. No, that's joking. We mostly ate gerbils. But if it was, no, it was good. Yeah, missing a dad. What else? Missing a best friend. I don't have a best friend right now, which kind of sucks. I think a best friend's really important. I think a best friend is, for me, a best friend is just like a girlfriend because I don't have either. So it's, I really miss having a best friend. I remember in the sixth grade, I had a gay best friend. His name was Keith, but I didn't know he was gay at the time. I just thought we were making out as homies. I didn't know that was happening. Okay. Just as homies. No homo, just homies. Okay. I'm really tired. Something I'm really tired of is people try to make me feel bad because I don't know, like, the classics of movies or TV or music, you know? Like, I just don't know the classics. Like, I just don't know. Like a classic movie to me is Ratatouille. I'm just being honest, you know? That's a great movie. That's like the oldest movie that I know, honestly. I don't watch classic movies. People try to make me feel bad for it. I was at work. I work at the comedy club over here. And my boss, we're talking about the movie Airplanes. You know the movie Airplanes? We're talking about the movie Airplanes, and she's like, oh no, Ray, how do you not know the movie Airplanes? Oh, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. And I'm like, okay, like, is that according to you or the experts? Like, is it that great? Like, I don't know. She's like, Ray, that movie changed comedy, by the way. Oh, okay. I feel like you said the same thing about Monty Python last week, so I don't know. It's just a lot. Like, people really try to make me feel bad. I don't know. I just don't. It's frustrating. I don't know any movie at all. I don't know Pulp Fiction. I don't know Indiana Jones. I don't know any movie. You know. Well, Ray, what about? Nope. I don't know that one. I've never seen it, and I never will. So, ever. So please get out of my house. It's. I just don't know any movie. People give me a lot of slack for it. You know. I don't know what people expect out of me. You know, I'm 23 years old. I just recently became conscious. I don't watch a lot of movies. I watch like 4 movies a year. I'm not going to sift through the 70s and find a hidden gem so I can watch some classic movies, you know? Like, is it not frustrating? Like, I don't know any classic movies, and people... By the way, also, my parents are Chinese immigrants, okay? Chinese immigrants from China. Nobody told me about movies. Like... Who was supposed to tell me about airplanes? You know what I mean? My other white family? Like, oh, what's going on here? You know? You're lucky your dad showed you Godfather. My dad showed me Gonfather. So, he was gone. Nobody showed me music, you know? My parents didn't know music. Who was going to show me, you know? You know, I had an older brother, but his parents were just as bad as mine. So, right? What's going on here? You know, we didn't listen to music really at all. Like, I remember when we used to drive in the car, my dad would be driving, just silent, no radio at all. Can you imagine that? No radio at all. No one's even talking. It's just, we're all just sitting there listening to my dad driving. That's it, you know? That's not fun. Yeah. I knew maybe one song growing up, and it was Wonderwall by Oasis. That was my one song, you know? I remember in the 5th grade, somebody asked me, they're like, Ray, what's your favorite rapper? And I was like, I don't know if this is really rapping, but do you know Wonderwall by Oasis? Is it? That's a good song. Have you heard of Ratatouille? That's not. Okay. I remember on Zoom recently, someone told me I have to watch The Sopranos. The Sopranos, like, you're joking, like, I haven't even watched Tiger King yet, right? I haven't watched my generation's stuff. There's no way I'm going to comb through your generation's stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and now I have to watch this, like, 10-part Michael Jordan documentary. 10 parts. Each part's an hour. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, are you guys doing... what is happening, you know? I found out, and this is a little embarrassing, I found out last month who Richard Pryor is. Oh, Ray, no, not Richard Pryor. You have to know Richard Pryor. Ray, he's the greatest basketball player of all time. I know. No, he's a comedian, don't worry. Other comedians get really mad at me because I don't know who Richard Pryor is. I'm sorry, like, I'm young. I grew up in this Chinese family. At what point was I supposed to just know about Richard Pryor? You know what I mean? Like, you think me and my friends are just growing up, we're just talking about Richard Pryor, you know? Like, hey, Ray, did you see Richard Pryor's newest special? Oh, no. When did it come out? Wednesday? No, 40 years ago. Okay, well then just fuck me then. That's it. All right, that's good enough for me. Guys, are you ready for your comedians for the night? Yeah! All right, it's coming to you right here. Put your hands together for Ryan Kelly.
We got so many mic. Oh wow, this got a little kick to it. Okay, and I'm wrapped up. Nice. This is the only rapper I know, Ray. So don't worry about it. Gosh. Well, like somebody went. But let's be honest. Look at me. My God, I reflect the sun. Okay. When people see me, they think an iceberg has come too far south, and they're like, global warming is real. It's crazy. Let's get right into this. Off the bat, everyone thinks that I'm a youth pastor. I know because I've been asked hundreds of times in real life before I accidentally convinced 2.6 million people that I was one. It's gotten out of hand, to say the least. And here's the beautiful thing, though, is that I did it so frequently that now youth groups are reaching out to me, asking me to do youth groups. I faked it till I made it, guys. Apparently that's possible. I should have aimed for something way different. Are you kidding? McLaren would have been cool, like lottery. Nope. I want to talk to kids about Jesus. People think I haven't earned it. I went to Christian school for 18 years. That's the full program, okay? That is the full thing. I have earned that. Maybe I went to school so long that this just happened. I just transformed. They were like, okay, here you go. This is it. Here's what freaks a lot of people out, and then no one believes me, is that I'm ethnically Jewish. My last name should be Grossberg, which I think directly translates to disgusting city. Not loving that. I'm glad that my dad changed his last name. I am. He changed it because his parents got divorced, but he also said, like, hey, just a fun fact, like, Kelly's gonna do better. You know what I mean? Like, things get dicey. No one believes I'm Jewish, which is fantastic, because when things go wrong for my people, and historically speaking, they will again, I'm gonna be an excellent spy. It's gonna be great. People are gonna come in, they're gonna be like, Ryan, did you check the synagogue full of the Jews? I'm gonna be like, yeah, super weird, none of them were there. Mazel tov, shut up! Like, that's my strategy. Just trying to be a helpful guy. Is it working? Iffy. I have something called an essential tremor. If you see me shaking up here tonight, I wish it was nervous, because that's the easier explanation. Yeah, nervous. No, instead it's just, no, my brain just randomly sends a message to my neck that it's time for a dance party. That's not cute. Not only that, it's not good for Los Angeles, because people see me shaking and they're like, is it an earthquake? And it's hard to explain. It's me. Walking seismograph, super fun. Here's the thing, it always happens at the worst times, too. Because I have taken more blurry photos than Sasquatch, okay? In 100 years, people will be like, was he real? It's gonna be tough. I do. I shake a lot. And it's weird because I went to the doctor to solve that problem. Because Parkinson's runs in my family. We were trying to figure out, like, how shaky? And so I go into the doctor, and the doctor's like, you have something called an essential tremor, and we have 3 solutions. And I was like, what's essential tremor? And they're like, it's like Parkinson's, but you don't get to die. And I was like, well, direct. And when I go into the doctor, and they're like, okay, first solution, most people who have this, we can give something called a beta blocker to, which is like a blood thinner. So it'll slow me down, which based on the way that I talk, you guess that I need that. And I was like, here's the problem, though, is if I'm on a blood thinner, what I'm really nervous about is talking to women. And because then it starts to happen then. But say I get better at talking to women, but then I'm on a blood thinner. We are creating other problems down the road, okay? I'd rather be a little shaky. That's okay. The other thing was they were like, most people who have this develop an alcohol problem. And they stopped talking like that was the solution. I was like, alcoholism, that's not quite what I was going for with that. Am I at a real doctor's office right now? Like, what's going on? Like, feels like the Charlie Brown show. It's just like 5 cents, tell me what you know. Like, that's where we were at. But the third thing that they said is they were like, Ryan, well, we've got this new experimental treatment. And I was like, I'm interested. And they're like, we could sit you down. We could strap you to a chair. We could take this sound gun, fire it into your head, and kill the part of your brain that makes you shake. Oh, no. For a litany of reasons. Number one, I shake in my neck. What if I start getting nervous, when I'm about to be shot in the head? I start doing this and they miss. I don't want to forget the 4th grade. Fractions were important. This is not what I'm looking for. Never understood why that was the option. Plus, after that, I was like, no. They kind of looked at me like I was a party pooper and it's like, you gave me no solutions. This is not my fault. And I left and I just kind of accepted it. And here's the thing, it genuinely was because I was nervous talking to women. I was like, oh, they're gonna see me shake, they're gonna think I'm weird. Turns out, girls do not have a problem with me shaking. They see that and they're like, oh my God, look at him, he comes with settings. It's nice. I've had an interesting run-in with doctors and things like that. It doesn't, I don't think I've ever walked away from doctor's office and thought, that went well. I was born and God went for the spawn kill twice, but missed both, so ha, I'm still here. This is kind of what happened. The thing is that a lot of people assume off the bat that I am gay. Curveball, I'm not even kind of gay. Most people, after that, they ask, like, well, are you at least a little bi? Like, it's the least I can do for them. What? Why? Why would you ask that way? Like, try it. Like, no, not really my shtick. Not really, ironically, my shtick. Not my thing. It's weird. People's like, why don't you swim in that under the pool? It's like too many pool noodles. I don't know. It's not for me, and I feel like you just know that. But I've had people come up to me and they're like, Ryan, are you gay? And I'm like, no. And they're like, are you sure? That's the wrong question after that. Yeah, pretty darn, I don't think it's like meteorology where it's like, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a 15% chance of penis. Tuesday's looking like 30%, and Wednesday it will be raining men, hallelujah. I don't know. The Weather Girls reference doesn't help my case, okay? I'm aware of that. It's weird. It got so bad that one time I went to the doctor and I was little, and I was like 11 or 12. And I walk in, he's got this pediatrician. He looks at me, I look at him, and he sits me down. He goes, okay, need to know about sex stuff. And I was like, well, as a 12-year-old, so do I. Like, I'm also confused. And he goes, have you been kissing girls? And I said no, because I was 12. And here's the thing, it's not because I didn't want to. It's because I had been selected out of that activity. You know what I mean? Like, let's put it like this. In 6th grade, art class, the girls created, genius of them, they created a coloring system for which guys they were interested in. I was not a color, okay? So I was kind of out of that activity, and I said no. And the doctor was like, okay, good to know. And then he brings my mom, and he's like, Mrs. Kelly, we think your son might be gay. And I'm sitting in the corner of the room like, would anyone like my opinion on that? And the consensus was no. And the doctor then is like, yeah, we'd like to put him, by the way, this is gonna be an important part. I'm from Missouri. This is all gonna make sense. We'd like to put him in a study to see how gay kids grow up. Like a lab rat with potentially beautiful fashion sense. Like it's a very weird time. And my mom looked at the doctor and goes, look, I don't care what my son is, but you're not allowed to study him. And that was the last time I went to the doctor for 4 years. Because they didn't think we could go to a different one. They thought, well, we're done with that. Here's the problem. During that time period, I developed scoliosis. I actually should be 6'3", right? People at home, promise I'm tall. But I am 6'1" now, and it's because I've got a 37-degree bend in my back, which means that in the end, I didn't end up gay, but I'm also definitely not straight right now. It's unfortunate. Oh, doctors are weird. I don't think any of that should have happened. I've had a lot of near-death experiences. I was born with something called pyloric stenosis. Happens to the first born son. Means that you just aren't able to swallow things, and then you just die if it's before the 1950s. Cool that it's not, okay? Had some other things, but the most notable thing, the closest I ever came, was that I survived a plane crash. And don't get weird on me about this. It's fine. This isn't ghost comedy, okay? Not only that, people are always like, oh my gosh, it must have been so fast. No, it takes forever. It is the longest, most boring way to die I've ever been a part of. And at one point, so essentially how it happened is we were flying from Newark back to St. Louis, which is where I'm originally from. And we get on the plane, and I sit down. And I'm sitting in the emergency exit row. This is before they were real stickler about asking if you were old enough to sit there, which, by the way, I got this week. They ask you if you are old enough to sit there. That is 15 years old. I am 25 and just got my master's degree. Okay. Do you know how insulting it is that they're like, oh, but were you old enough to drive to the airport? Yes, I was. The tears didn't help. But I sit down on this plane, and my little brother is sitting next to me. He never gets carded. It's very frustrating. We're sitting in the emergency exit row, and we take off into the air. And the plane was kind of like, it was delayed. It was kind of shaky. And I had always been afraid of flying, but I was like, you know what, this time, I'm not going to be afraid of flying. I picked the wrong time. So we get up into the air, and we are immediately flying through an electrical storm. There's a lightning hitting all around us, and we're not going particularly high. And I'm like, why can I hear wind through this door? It's because the door wasn't closed. Which feels like, it feels weird, because if I move more than 4 inches in my car and the door's open, it goes off like I've stolen the Mona Lisa. But the plane was like, go with God. Like, what? And so I hear this, and we can't go super high, because if we do, then we're going to lose pressure, and it's going to get hard to breathe. So I'm sitting there, and then we get through the electrical storm, and all of a sudden, we U-turned a plane. We Mario Kart drifted this. There were blue sparks active, okay? We hit it like a U-turn, like, oh my gosh, 95 west, I thought she said east, boom! And when that happened, we tilted so fast, everything shifted. 2 oxygen masks in the front of the plane drop. Just 2, just in the front. If I'd known first class came with survival, would have done it, okay? It's a bit classist, but okay, let's do this. As this is happening, the pilot comes over and goes, ladies and gentlemen, we're having severe technical malfunctions. We're going to have to make an emergency landing. And normally, the pilot dumbs it down. And he dumbed it down to severe technical malfunctions. And at that point, the flight attendants came running through the cabin. I kid you not, doing this. Call your loved ones, call your loved ones, call your loved ones, call your loved ones. We're getting mixed signals from the front of the plane, okay? The people in charge, not in agreement. It's tough. And at that point, everything gets really quiet. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at the door thinking, I don't think I've got the muscle mass to open that up. So I hope they go out the other one. As we're going down, the plane tilts. We're going back in the electrical storm, and it is like being at the top of a roller coaster right before you drop for 40 minutes. Which, at some point, you run out of air. We're coming back into Newark, and we hit the ground so hard that our wheels pop and explode, and it pops on the right side, and we skip. We skipped a plane like a rock. Yeah, cute when you do this, not when you're doing this. And when that happens, we skip, we jump, and then wheels on the left side pop and explode, and we're starting to tip, but because they popped on both sides, it evened us out, and we skidded to the end of the runway. And we got taken off the plane. My dad asked what had gone wrong. Turns out what had happened is that both engines had overheated and shut down, which is why the plane got super quiet. And also, we had icing on our wings, so they were trying to heat the wings while cool the engines, which are about 4 inches away from each other. Bit of a tough maneuver. It's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your belly, but, you know, death. Now, here's the thing. After that, I still fly. I actually learned how to fly planes after that, because I thought if that ever happens again, I got this. Not that they're going to ask, but, you know, it feels good. But I was going to fly 2 weeks later, and I sit down on a plane, and I'm in a different time zone than my mom. And I text my mom. The way I say I love you is I loves you. I don't know why. That's just the way I say it. Probably doesn't help with people thinking I'm gay, to be completely honest. So I text my mom, I loves you, but Apple just recently updated, so it auto-corrected to I loved you. Now, we're in different time zones, and she thought that I had sent her that text at 35,000 feet. And if you ever want to test how much your mom loves you, text her that you love her in the past tense when she thinks you're doing a death-defying thing. Because if she calls you less than 32 times, guess my mom loves me more. It's weird. I've studied a lot of things. I actually went to college, even though people think that I'm, just getting ready for the SAT. I went to college with my best friend, TJ. Now, TJ is 6'3", 3 1/4 on a good day. We are reverse, okay? He is a big dude. And one day I sat down and I just got into the grocery store and I got Pringles, and I was so happy that I had Pringles. And TJ goes, can I have some? And our definition of some, apparently, very different. Because I handed him the can, and then I heard an empty can hit my desk. Tough. And so I went for another one, and he goes, can I have some? And I go, no. We're developing a rule right now to prevent that from ever happening again. I call it the Pringles can rule. What it means is that because he has big hands, he is only allowed to use his hands, and the base of it has to be flat against a surface. No gravity can assist him in any way. He didn't love the rule. I started out as an engineer, and I had really early classes in the morning. So at 8 a.m. I went to a class, got out at 10, and I'm walking back home, very delirious, and I see TJ as I open up the door too naked. He is in just boxers. I'd love to stand here and tell you that they were buttoned, but I haven't lived that great of a life. And so I witnessed this, and he is standing over the Pringles can, hand just white with pressure, trying to get to the last chips that he's allowed to reach. And I go, what are you doing? And that's when he lost focus, and he put too much pressure on the Pringles can chips, and he just Hulk smashed through them. They went everywhere. It was a spectacle. And as that happened, the can split in half, and TJ looks up at me and goes, well, since they're out, can I have them? And I go, yes, you may have them. TJ was always able to get around rules. One of the weirdest things is that, like, I have a lot of sleep problems. And so we would sleep at weird times. But it turns out me and TJ, we found out this fun fact is that we both would sleep with our hands over the bed. And I found this out when all of a sudden I heard a clink of a handcuff hit my hand. Because we used to do dumb things to each other in college. One of them was handcuffing each other to each other, mostly while we slept. And so I wake up to hearing a clink, but I sleep sprint, and I have night terrors. So when I get up, I am moving. TJ didn't wake up through this story. He doesn't remember exactly what happened. Because I got up, I hear a clink around TJ, I go to run out of my room. We have cinder block walls in our room, and I go to make the turn. And like I said, TJ, 6'3", 325, me, at the time, 6'1", 125 pounds, okay? Like I was like just like paper at that point. And I try to turn, TJ doesn't budge, and I flip around and smack into this wall. I then fall back down into our room, which is when TJ wakes up and he goes, Ryan, why did you handcuff us together? And from the ground, I just went, I don't know, because it was fun. TJ's always been absolute trouble, and I know this because when you live with someone, you start getting used to their daily activities. Now, I don't know if anyone in here has had that moment where you just found out, oh, this person's comfortable being naked around me. But normally that would come with a conversation. Mine and TJ's didn't. I knew it because I was doing homework at 3 a.m. and all of a sudden I felt a presence of naked TJ. And I've never hoped I was dreaming more. I've also never focused harder on an engineering report. So I'm typing, and I just feel nudity go around and sit down at his desk and tuck himself into his desk. Thankfully, he did tuck himself in. And so I look over, and what I see is a lot of side cheek, which is tasteful. But I'm thinking, I don't love where this went. And then he puts on his headphones and he starts gaming. And then all of a sudden, I see him reach up to his desk and grab an empty can of Planters Peanuts Nuts. And I see him take it underneath his desk. Now, I don't know what that math equals, but I don't want to find out, okay? What does naked roommate plus can equal? I don't want to know. But at that point, he then swivels around to me and goes, hey, Ryan, look, nuts. Because he had put himself, if you will, inside the can and thought it was hilarious. Now, that's not the funny part. The funny part is that TJ doesn't understand. Fun fact, gentlemen out there, male genitalia, super sensitive to salt. It's going to burn like you've committed all of the sins. And he then immediately goes from tasteful, because he pulls it off going, salt, 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 salt. So now it's not even, we're just out here. And he runs into our bathroom, which we had one sink, and he starts essentially waterboarding himself. You know what I mean? At this point, he's going so hard, I'm surprised he's not like, where are the drugs? Like, this is... Now, here's the thing. We had a suite-style living situation, which means that we have other people that are attached to that bathroom that we had not met yet. And TJ is loudly screaming as he waterboards himself, or essentially air guitars, and I'm sitting there crying, laughing, because this is the utmost in revenge. And that's when our two roommates open up their door and see the only sink that we all use to brush our teeth with something in it that shouldn't be in it. And TJ looks at them, takes his hand off himself, and then goes, nice to meet you, I'm TJ. Unfazed. And they look at him, grossed out. And the question I have for the audience that I can talk to right now is, would you shake it? Would you shake his hand? Correct if you're shaking your head, no. But TJ has impeccable logic at 3 a.m. And he looks at him and goes, technically I was just washing it. And they shook his hand. His life just keeps getting grosser. And that's how I know that they remember that night the same way I remember that night, which is not positively. I'm proud to say I was the only one that didn't shake his hand that night. TJ and I ended up moving out. We got a house together. We got a house with this guy named John. John is great. He's the smartest guy that lived with us, but he would do the dumbest things. He was completely lacking common sense, but he was an engineer. He studied I think it was electrical engineering. At one point, I had to stop him because he was going to take a full can of ravioli, put it in the microwave, and just hit start. I had to explain to him that, no, sir, you're not microwaving ravioli, you're microwaving a grenade, okay? Now, John was about 5'6". He drank like he was 6'12". And whenever we would go drinking, the problem is he was a lightweight. And so we started off one night, we were playing, if you're familiar with the Birrio cart, which is where you have to finish drinks before, you finish a race. Problem is that, personally, I can't burp, so we were just like, let's do liquor. Big mistake. And so that's how the night starts. We've got John, and then we go over to a friend's house. Now, it was a girl that he'd been really crushing on, so he was already nervous, so he was drinking a little more than usual. And he gets on over there, and we're having a good time. And then at one point, I knew the party had gotten out of hand because John comes up to me, and he grabs me by the shoulders, and he goes, Ryan, where's John? He was the only John at the party. And I go, you're John. And he goes, oh, thank God. He'd lost him, okay? And at that point, he then walked out of the house in Michigan during winter with no shoes on. It was snowing. And he just walks out to go on an adventure. An adventure we still don't fully understand to this day. But there I am, and I'm sitting there, and I saw that happen, and I thought, that's going to be a problem later. And instead of fixing it then, I was like, we'll figure it out. Now, at one point, our whole house gets together, and we're like, we haven't seen John for 2 hours. We should go find John. And I go, okay. And in college, I thought it was always fun. I had a breathalyzer on my keys. That makes me sound like I have a problem. I don't. I just thought it was a fun party trick. And I was like, okay, let's figure out who's driving, because we've all been stopped drinking for a while. And I blow into mine, and it says 0.24. I just sat down on the couch and went, guess it's not me. Turns out none of us did very well that night in passing tests, so we called our buddy Trey. Trey had not gone to the party. We love Trey. And we're like, Trey, John's lost. Find him. So Trey started driving up and down the streets looking for John. Like the weirdest Amber Alert call you've ever gotten. Where is baby? We don't know. And John is found. He's found like 9 blocks away. And he is in the snow. And I see Trey pull back to the house to pick us up. And John is sitting in the back of the car with a blanket around him, looking like child services has gotten him. Like, go be safe, baby. Go be safe. Now, here's the thing. During that car ride home, he says, Ryan, I am so sorry. I went by your car because we lived really close to them, and I threw up all over it. And I was like, that's going to be gross. But the reason why I can tell you the story with a smile is because that's not what happened. Because turns out John had not thrown up all over my car. What he had done is found a random black car and then coated that. Now, I don't know. I don't think I've woken up in like the worst situation of my life, but I think that's up there. You know what I mean? Drunk college kid assaulted by a random guy named John. No H. That tells you everything you need to know. It's tough. I did. College was fun. College was fun, but college was something that I am very thankful I don't have to do again. But unfortunately, some of the antics of college kept over later in life. For instance, I went to Vegas earlier this year before COVID in a completely unplanned trip because I wanted to see the stars. If you know anything about me, I love stars. I think they're beautiful. I think they're sweet. We don't have any in Anaheim. It's tough. I was at a party. A lot of things have gone wrong in life, and I had this thing called Everclear. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It is 190 proof, which is too many proofs. It is proven. And I was enjoying some of that. It turns out you can light it on fire, and that's fun. And so I'm enjoying some of that, and all of a sudden, my friend Maggie is there, and I just go up to her and I go, Maggie, I don't want to be here anymore. Take me to the stars. And she looks at me the way most people should, which is, are you a crazy person right now? And I go, no, Maggie, I just want to see the stars. And she goes, okay. And she goes, but what stars do you want to stay? And I go, I want to see the Vegas stars. And here's the thing. My car had gone to the shop that week, and I got in a rental car, and they were like, hey, don't put too many miles on it. I was like, no worries. I didn't live up to that. Because I got to my rental car, and I tossed the keys to Maggie, and I was like, okay, we're driving. And we drove through a Wendy's first because, you know, alternates are great. And then we go back to her place. We grab her bag. We go back to my place. I have a go bag. We just go. I jump in the car, and then I fall asleep for 2.5 hours. For those of you that don't know, the Vegas drive is about 3.5 hours. I was very little assistance, and I wake up in the middle of the night, in the middle of the desert, and I look up and I just go, stars. Just beautiful and fun, but here's the thing, we were most of the way to Vegas. We're not stopping. So we just keep going to Vegas, and at that point, I call, I get us a hotel room, we're going to stay there. But I think it's very important at this point to explain to you that I have some sleep problems. I have insomnia, sleep paralysis, night terrors, and sleep sprinting. It's like sleepwalking, but with extra zest. I have sleep sprinted in a dream. I've had a dream that I was like going to the top of my stairs and then falling down the stairs, and I woke up from that dream when I hit the ground at the top of my stairs tripping. Okay? An actual waking nightmare. That's the type of stuff that I deal with. I run into walls at just very fast pace. Now the reason why I tell you that is because we get to the hotel room and I go to bed, as I should. And I wake up the next morning, I'm still in the same clothes, and I can feel that my pockets feel different. And I take out my wallet, and I have found $300. I had $20 when I began that night. A fun fact about me is I've never left a Vegas casino losing money. But I normally did that while conscious. Which means that during the night, I went over to a different casino because the one that we were at didn't have the blackjack I was looking for, and gambled while unconscious. And I won. Look, I think that at a certain point, everyone says, like, I could do that in my sleep. No, I could, okay? Vegas has always been fun. I went to Vegas when I just turned 21 with my buddy Casey Jones. Casey Jones, fun fact, actually just got engaged. He's going to marry a girl named April. If you know anything about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know that that is awesome. That is such a deep cut. And so Casey and I go to Vegas. We're staying in this place, and we want to go to Tao Beach Club because Marshmallow's playing. We love EDM music, and we go in. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, like, drinking in Vegas can be really expensive unless you're a girl. Because here's how you drink for free in Vegas. If you're a girl, you go, I would like to drink for free. And then you drink for free. That's how it works. But if you're a guy, it goes a little differently. So we're there, and we get to the place, and I don't want to spend money on drinks, so I was just like, I can be a sober party, like, I'm fun. And we start having a good time. We're at, like, the DJ booth. This place is crazy. There are stripper poles in the pool, if that tells you what level we're operating on. And then there's me. Me and Casey are there. There is there's 8 people in front of us, and it's a mix of guys and girls, really nice people. Turns out they were actually exactly from the cities that me and Casey were both from, which is insane. And then behind us, there is a just line of 6 douchebags. They are the tooliest of the tools. They look like they're sponsored by Craftsman. It's not good. And one of those dudes goes up and he grabs one of the girls from behind that's in front of us. And we didn't see that. What we did see is her boyfriend, John Cena level choke slam him and throw him against the ground. I heard dun 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 dun. It was amazing. When that happens, I realize that at this point a fight is starting because the people from in front of us come forward and the people from behind us come forward. And at this point you pick a side. And you know what, we're gonna pick team not douchebag. And so me and Casey square up and I looked at Casey and I go, you got right, I got left. Now, I don't look like the fighter guy, you know what I mean? I am, like I said, at 1.61, 125 pounds. I have better, at most I'm gonna be a rope that they have to get through. But I actually do have fight experience, which made it very fun, and they were hammered. And I was sober because I'm Jewish, and that was perfect. And so one of the dudes comes up to me. Now, there were 2 dudes on either side, both 6'3", just yoked. I call them Tad and Thad. And Tad and Thad are there, and then right in front of me is a 5'8" Indian kid who looks like he owns both of his pet white boys. That's what this looks like. What are you doing? And one of them comes up to me, and he goes, I know what he's gonna say. He's gonna mess me up in different words, and we've all heard that before. And so what I do is, I was wearing shoes, he wasn't, and I saw that, and so I stepped forward, and I crushed the top of his heel, and I tucked my head, and he headbutted himself off me. Because I know that if I throw a punch, I'm leaving, and I don't want to throw a punch and have to leave, because I like EDM. So I do that, that dude spikes himself off me, and he starts watering from his eyes, he steps back, what just happened? He's confused, and he's also hammered. Then the littler guy that owns the 2 behind him just looks at me and goes, hey man, and he throws the wildest punch I have ever seen. It could have gone fully around the earth and still missed me. It was just, ow. And so I step to the side and I push him through, and one of the guys behind me drops him with an elbow. And I was like, oh, we got teammates. This is fun. And at that point, it's just Tad and me. And Tad steps up to me, and I'm like, man, I don't want to get kicked out. Don't do it. He puts his hands up, and I'm like, fun. And that's when the dry ice from this venue blasts behind me. But because I'm facing the wrong way, I can still see, and he can't. So I took my best guess, and I threw a punch. Now, here's the problem, is that I couldn't really see him because of the dry ice, and he had apparently moved a little bit, and I didn't hit him as much as I glanced him, which is not something you want to do to someone that is 70 pounds more than you and 2 inches taller. And then the dry ice stops, and I put my hands down like I'd done nothing. But shockingly, he felt me punch his face. And so he looks at me, and he goes to throw a punch, and again, just a wild punch, and I step out of the way, and I'm starting to think, like, man, you know how in Vegas they always have those huge Samoan bouncers? Where are they right now? And that's when his fist hits the stomach of one of those guys. These guys look like The Rock's bigger brother. And he hits him directly dead in the stomach, and the guy didn't move. It looked like watching a smart car hit a brick wall. It was amazing. I saw that happen, I was like, bye-bye. This dude, this bouncer, takes one hand, pushes him back with one, and then pushes him with another, and the dude sails into the pool. And I went, woo! And I put both my hands up, because I was excited. And I look over at Casey, and I went to say we did it, and that's when I took flight. I was picked up by one of the 2 Samoan bouncers that turns out was there. He picked me up with one arm and Casey up with another and just dropped us in the VIP section, which had been right next to us. And he goes, we saw what happened. You guys are good. Stay there. I went, what? Now here's the thing. In VIP sections, sometimes people can be very like hoity-toity, but if they're drunk enough, and by the way, this section ordered 16 bottle service deliveries that night. They were past being hoity-toity. And they look at us and they go, you guys are awesome. Do you want free drinks? And we went, heck yes, we want free drinks. And that's how you drink for free in Vegas if you're a guy, okay? It's a couple steps more, but it's awesome. Oh, I have a job, or I had a job. It's kind of a weird thing to talk about. I didn't always do this, or I didn't do it full time. But I worked at a place called Disneyland, if you're familiar with it. And unfortunately, is people always ask you what you did for Disneyland. They go, Ryan, were you the live-action version of Christopher Robin? He's anywhere from 5 to 6 years old, guys. That's very hurtful. No, I wasn't. What I was I was Spider-Man and a stormtrooper. And that was awesome. And the thing about being Spider-Man is, here's the thing, it was fun, but I have 3 college degrees. I have a master's degree and 2 bachelors, and I know when people say, like, I've got 2 bachelors, they're like, was it theater and musical theater? No, don't be hurtful. I studied business and international relations, and what I did for work is I would dress up in spandex, pretend to be a teenager, and give hugs to kids. That should be illegal in every state, okay? Doesn't sound great. The problem is that when they're training you for this type of stuff, they don't have you go out as, like, Spider-Man. They have you go out as Ryan, and they don't give you a name tag to start with. So I am just there, and at one point my trainer comes over to me and is like, hey, go find and talk to a child under 12. What? No, I won't be doing that. And the reason why is because I'm a full-grown adult male. We don't have a good history with that, okay? Not going to be doing that, but I really wanted the job, so I was like, fine. And so I go over, and when you're talking to a kid and your first question is, hey, are you under 12? Not gonna go well, okay? And the parents are looking at me like, see, those are the people we warned you about, avoid him. But then I realized it was the parents making it awkward, so now I'm looking for kids without their parents. This is getting worse, okay? But I did. I got the job. I talked to enough kids. It was fine. I got to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man was very fun, mostly because little kids totally believe that you're Spider-Man. And so when that's happening, you get to have a lot of fun, mostly because little kids will tell you everything that they want to tell you. At one point, I had a little boy come up to me. And his brother had just met me. He seemed kind of aloof. And I go, hey, bud, you want to come over and talk? And he's like, yeah. I go, what's on your mind? What I didn't expect the answer was, Southwest Airlines. I go, what? And he goes, yeah, Southwest, we flew in here. That's what we did. And I go, tell me more. And he walked me through how much webbing I would have to use to catch all of the snacks, if the plane went down, all of the people, and then the whole plane if I was feeling it. And I gotta be honest, to this day, I still exclusively fly Southwest Airlines, so I don't know if I ran into like a little recruiter or something, but it was the most beautiful moment ever. That's how I got here. I had a little boy come up to me one time, and I swing over to him, and I'm like, hey, bud, what's your name? And he goes, hi, I'm Trevor. And I go, want to swing over here with me, Trevor? And he goes, I don't go by Trevor. Interesting start. And I go, really, what do you go by? And he goes, I go by my superhero name. And I go, what's that? And he goes, John Cena. And I did not answer like Spider-Man. I answered exactly like Ryan, and I went, dun, 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 dun. Get over here, bud. We're going to talk about superhero stuff. At one point, I'm walking back to my place where you go to change out to not be Spider-Man anymore, because CVS doesn't love it. And I'm walking back, and one of my managers is there, and he goes, what are you doing, Spider-Man? And I would always skip as Spider-Man. If you see a video of a Spider-Man skipping, ding! And I was skipping back because they told me I couldn't run, and I turned back, and there are 12 little kids skipping with me that I didn't know were there. And I go, I'm starting an army, which is not the correct response. Spider-Man's not supposed to imply warfare. And so I turn around and I go, halt! And they all stopped. And I went, what power is this? This is amazing. And I dropped down on one knee and I said, group hug. And they all came in and I gave them a group hug. And I knew in that moment that I wasn't doing my job right because I was making all these little kids happy. I knew it because they all seemed to be under 12. It was fun. There was a lot of fun times. I will say this, the weirdest thing that I've ever heard that happened at Disney was the phrase assault by reptile. Let me extrapolate. Because that's not a thing you should normally hear. I was talking to a friend and they were like, yeah, this lady, she came in and she was trying to bring in her emotional support turtle. Don't know if those exist, to be completely honest. Don't know if they get ratified or what goes on with that, but she said and claimed that this is her emotional support turtle. And security was like, ma'am, you can't bring in a turtle. And she heard that and thought, but I could sneak one in. Because she got out of line, she stuck it at the bottom of her stuff, she snuck in her emotional support turtle, and then she went to town square and started taking pictures and selfies with her emotional support turtle. Not subtle, not subtle. And when that happens, security goes up to her, and she's like, ma'am, you can't have an emotional support turtle here, because it's a health thing. And then she starts getting very angry, and apparently it escalates. And at one point, she then cocks back and Tom Brady's the emotional support turtle at security. She just hucks it, with passion. And security, to their credit, caught the turtle, which is amazing. And she was escorted from the park, and on her record, why she has lost her annual pass was assault by reptile. Because that is how you do it. I did go to Christian school for 18 years. I had a middle school that went to a high school, 7th, 8th, and then all through, which is very fun because if you do dumb things in 7th and 8th grade, like hypothetically sing R-E-S-P-C-T for your whole class, big Aretha fan to be honest, that'll carry on with you. And so I went there for middle school, and I'm there, and at one point we're in Bible class, and someone is asked, is anyone in here Jewish? Because we're learning about the Jews. And I raised my hand, and I didn't think anything of it. And I was the only one that raised my hand because Christian school. And man, some Christians don't like the Jews. They seem to only remember the part where, they killed Jesus, but they forget that he was one of us. That's, I don't know. Bring him in, take him out, seems fair. Also, I hate to point it out, but, if we don't, the story ends way worse. Everyone's pretty excited that he died for your sins, but come on, there's a step process to that. And so I'm there, and I raise my hand, and at that point, I became kind of a target of bullying because I was Jewish at a Christian school. And there was one person in particular that bullied me a lot, very anti-Semitic in the things that he would say. He actually taught me Jewish slurs that I didn't know, which was interesting. I don't know if you've ever, here's the thing, I had to do some Googling because I thought he was calling me a kite for a while. And I was like, oh, why does he think I would fly well? I just don't understand. It's where you can't really be insulted by something that you just don't understand why it's wrong. It's I don't know, that's a word that I don't get. At one point, he peed in my locker, which is unfortunate because my name's Ryan Kelly, which makes me R. Kelly. Not that one. It's so unfortunate. Wasn't into it. And during that time, it was tough. At one point, the principal of the 8th grade sits us all down and is like, okay, we have to not be anti-Semitic. But the funny thing is, I was the only Jew. So what it meant is stop being mean to Ryan. Which is a good way for kids to know to pick on Ryan. It's made its way up the ladder. It's been addressed. We all have a target now. Now, this one particular kid that was the worst at it, we ended up, my mom ended up saying, like, hey, you, like, don't put him and them in the same class together. Like, we're not going to be doing any of that. And so for 5 years, I was not in the same class with him at all. I had never taken a class with him except for my senior year when we were going to take a speech class. And he was going to be in that, and they only offered one speech class. And my mom even asked me at the time, she's like, Ryan, are you okay with that? And I was like, I don't know, I don't remember. I haven't seen him in 5 years, you know what I mean? If you miss half a decade with someone, I don't know, maybe they... And so I go to that speech class, and in that speech class we had to give an explanation of kind of like who we were and like what our time at this place had been like. And you know, not the happiest of experiences. And so I get up on stage, and I'm the last one to go because we'd drawn for it. And it's right before the bell, and I stand there and I go, you know, this hasn't been great. There's been a lot of people that came after me for things that I couldn't control, that were just kind of essential to me. And now I realize that I like the things that make me me, regardless. And the bell rings, and I jump off the stage, and here's the problem. Whenever I perform, I black out. I won't remember any of this. I'm just gonna let you know that. That's a thing that I do. I just go, and then I end, and I'm like, well, that was fun. So I do that. I don't pretend like I've said anything. I just get off the stage like, yep, assignment done. And I hop down, and I walk out, and this guy is in this class. Now, here's the thing about this guy. He was 6'8". He's big. He was tall. And he starts walking towards me. And I'm like, and then it reminded what I was just talking about was directed at him. And I wasn't trying to be poignant. And I'm walking towards him. All of a sudden, his arms go out wide, and he puts them around me, and he starts to shake. And I'm like, do people shake before murder? Like, this is not going to go well. I'm thinking of, like, the start of Gladiator, when he just, like, holds him too tight, and that's the end. Like, I'm wafy, this is it. And then I realize that he's not shaking because he's trying to strangle me. He's shaking because he's crying. And he goes, I'm so, so sorry. And I go, that's totally fine. Mostly because I'm still thinking he might kill me. Like, that's fine, man. And he goes, I'm so, so sorry for what I did, but I'm trying to be better. In that moment, I completely forgave him. I remember nothing but positive thoughts about that person. And we're good. And we're still friends to this day. My name's Ryan Kelly. Thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you for being here online. We'll talk to you later.